Hello. Welcome to Straight from the Hive podcast. This is Alan Taransky, president and beekeeper at Glory Bee. And I am so excited to have Grant Martin join us as our environmental stewardship manager at Glory Bee. Welcome, Grant.
Thank you, Alan. It's great to be here, and I'm happy to be able to talk to you a little bit today about sustainability.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I love this topic. So let's just dive right in. We're going to cover a few questions that I think our audience will be interested in and get to know you a little bit in the process. So just kind of jumping in, how did you get interested in stewardship and sustainability?
You know, that's a really good question. And for most people, I think the journey really for me in terms of getting started with sustainability and stewardship really took a hold when I was early on in my informative years, quite young. And I developed a real passion, I think, for the outdoors. And I was enamored really by the infinite vastness of our landscapes and the beauty of this country. We have so much to offer here, and I really enjoyed caring for it. And I began to really take this approach that it's important to find balance between human consumption and preserving natural ecosystems. And this mindset I really wanted to carry on through my educational years into my career and really focus on where I could find purpose in the work that I was doing. And that's really what got me into this industry and this field. And my goal is really to leave this world better off than when I'm here, and for you and for us and our kids and families. I would love to see future generations be able to embrace the beauty of this world as much as we are able to enjoy it.
I love it. Amen to that. That's fantastic. So what state did you grow up in? What were those formative years? Where were you?
I was in Colorado. I born and raised in Colorado. The Rocky Mountains are some of the most beautiful, the mountain range. The Colorado Rockies, of course, phenomenal place to be. The landscapes there are great. Mountainous region. You have such a diverse array of natural wildlife, of beautiful waterfalls. The Colorado River obviously is hugely important to this country and really stems from Colorado and the snow melt and the ecosystems there. And an interesting fact with that I'd like to share, and maybe we can get into more conversation later, is honeybees particularly can't make it over the Colorado Rockies. And so
interesting.
It's this interesting fact that the Rockies are so high that it acts as a natural barrier, and I guess that's primarily for bees in general, but honeybees are more or less a West Coast type of animal.
Amazing. Okay, I didn't know that. That's fantastic. Well, I can totally relate to the inspiration that Mother Nature gives us, and growing up being a fisherman and spending a lot of time in the outdoors. Certainly, I think those are some of the birthplaces of my passion for stewardship and sustainability as well. So I can wholeheartedly relate to that. Well, okay, I got a question for you. This is a super important question that everybody has to answer. But do you have a favorite type of honey?
Yes, I do. In fact, I have always been partial to the sweeter honeys. So the blackberry blossom honey, I absolutely love that particular honey. I just love how sweet it is. I usually put it on breads, put it on crackers, anything that needs just a hint of extra sweetness to it. You can always put that blackberry flavor on there, and it just is a phenomenal experience.
Well, you picked an Oregon favorite. Of course, Oregon's probably best known for its blackberry blossom honey, and certainly my first hive was a hive that produced 160 pounds of blackberry honey. So it was an amazing hive, and I had a lot of that honey to sell. So let's talk a little bit about why you chose to come to Glory Bee and bring your passion for stewardship and sustainability to the Glory Bee team. And as you now well know, it's as we affinitively call the Hive.
Yes. I really came to Glory Bee at an intersection in my life. Personally, I had really recently experienced the death of a loved one, and that really set my frame of reference into reevaluating what I was doing, and wanting to make sure that I was finding passion behind the work that I was doing on a day to day. And professionally, I was really in a place where I wanted to expand my career into this different facet of the environmental sector, and really continue to challenge myself and figure out ways how I could add value. And particularly as we hear concerns over food scarcity and this global concern for food chains that are becoming increasingly impacted by large populations and famines and other different natural issues. These were things that I was really focused on when I was looking at this industry and saying, okay, Glory Bee seems to be a leader. And I was pleasantly surprised to really say that Glory Bee is advocating for those food systems. They're advocating for the honeybees. And of course, we all know honeybees, particularly are actually quite valuable and responsible for, about a third of our food supply. And really looking at that smaller family-owned organization where it's mission driven, these are all factors that played into why I decided to join Glory Bee.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, appreciate you sharing that. So, kind of carrying that forward, why do you think sustainability is important on a company level or a corporate level? What makes that important to kind of further stewardship and sustainability?
Yes. With that being the case, sustainability is widely talked about in the marketplace, and it's one of these concepts that I think really we are at a level in the market where you need to have sustainability in order to be and remain competitive. And furthermore, it's one of these intersections where bringing companies and industries more in touch with the standards of sustainable development is really the ultimate goal, I think, of corporate sustainability. And sustainability, is again becoming increasingly relevant. I saw recently actually some eye-opening statistics in the latest 2022 World Economic Forum that really indicated that about 90% of executives believe sustainability is important. But the issue is really the lack of implementation, because only 60% of organizations actually have a sustainable strategy. And that was quite alarming, because we have a passion, we have a need, but we seem to have a disconnect in the actual follow through or the implementation of what we're going to do. And so finding that strategy, that's where I think we have opportunities in both Glory Bee as well as in the marketplace.
Yeah, no, well said. I mean, I think that kind of really leads us into the next question. So, what are the most significant challenges for companies when it comes to stewardship?
Yes, I would say that we really have probably three significant areas in which the challenges I would classify some challenges. One is really in the supply chain transparency and traceability area. Without a clear picture of a product's journey from the sourcement of raw materials to the point of sale, companies really cannot make accurate assertions around sustainability. And therefore they can't take meaningful action really without first mapping what needs to be done and how to go about that process. And really to that end, one of the, I would say, other issues, with businesses and sustainability is the growing demand for accurate, better, and more inclusive data that describes and gives standing to the equity and fairness to all people, regardless of whether or not their geographical regions are represented. And that's one big area within the supply chain that I see issues in related to sustainability. Another issue is really this conversation of net zero and scope 3 emissions, particularly related around climate change. And the conversation really has to do with reaching that net zero commitment with an actionable strategy. And what this means is that this requires companies to really set quantifiable, time-bound, and scientific-based targets, to have a clear plan and picture in place, and milestones to meet, and a way to really track those. And I see that as kind of an issue that needs to be addressed with sustainability in terms of the marketplace. And to do this, What we really need to do is to take indirect emissions generated across a product's life cycle and really figure out how that plays a role within the business activity
Mm-hmm.
from the beginning to the end. And another issue that I foresee is really in this conversation around nature positive approaches or regenerative agriculture. I think
Mm-hmm.
we've had several conversations. This seems to be a pretty important conversation piece nowadays. But in 2021, really the G7 leaders called for the world to become net zero and nature positive. And really what that means to me is that nature positive economies ask considerably more of the private sector. They really do ask us to do less harm, but they also want us to take action to boost the resilience and health of natural ecosystems.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that mean in practicality? That really does mean that what we need to do is figure out a way to implement these practices in a realistic way. And
Yeah.
that could be by embracing regenerative farming practices to create more agricultural systems and to restore soils, safeguard the biodiversity, maybe sequester carbon would also be another area that would bound into.
Well, those are all key points and certainly key challenges and opportunities for people to lean in and embrace the trying to tackle those challenges. I think one of the main challenges that exists for all of us is that our lifetime is got a timetable on it, right? And so are we really focused on sort of the next generation and the next few generations? And so those things can be hard to sort of wrap your head around. So what role do you feel like purpose and passion plays in really moving a company forward in their sustainability journey?
That's a very good question. And, to that, I believe that passion really drives sort of the executive decisions. And so when you're looking at organizations, you really have to have a true passion and motivational driving force behind the business in order to be sustainable and to promote that sustainability for future generations to enjoy. We're starting to see this shift within the environmental sector of looking at ESG programs, environmental, social, and governance programs, where the focus becomes less about the traditional mindset of profits before social and other people and environmental practices. But really, this movement has really grounded itself in this notion that we need to be also focused about our social impacts, our environmental impacts, as well as some of those traditional business impacts as well. And having that purpose, having that mission-driven sort of mindset behind why we're doing what we're doing, these help drive the change. These help spur people to really do what they know to be best for not only themselves but others, and have this mentality of taking care of future generations.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for me, I'm deeply passionate that we use our business as a force for good, and we've launched into starting our own nonprofit, Save the Bee, representing right here, and also that we've made ourselves accountable to a greater group of people by becoming a B Corp. B Corp has great companies involved, such as Patagonia and Amy's Kitchen, and of course Glory Bee. So, does B Corp fit into that ESG framework, Grant, for those who may not be familiar with B Corp?
I believe it does. Looking at B Corp, the impact categories, there's 5 large impact categories that deal with environment, that deal with governance structures, that deal with the social components, right? And so wrapping the B Corp framework into a ESG program, it works to be very much in line with that structure, due to the fact that B Corp is really considering the health and vitality of an overall company from its intimate areas of its foundation. And that's how I really view B Corp as a viable ESG style program. And glory be that the desire for us to take our B Corp certification and move that into that ESG style program will help us become much more, I guess, structured around what we are in fact doing already. We're doing so many great things. And the idea is we want to take that and be able to put it into terms that our clients and our customers and everyone else in the marketplace sort of understands and is familiar with.
That's fantastic. That's a great segue into just what has Glory Bee measured to date, and maybe been successful in, and where are things headed for Glory Bee under your leadership in this area?
Glory Bee has done a significant amount of work in years past to really start establishing some baselines. And we've started to establish baselines in areas of our waste stream. Waste is a category that, of course, is on the radar for markets. And what I would love to see us be able to do is work towards this notion of zero waste. It's quite ambitious, and it's difficult to say what the solutions are. There needs to be many solutions to that issue within our supply chains, but we need to start looking at waste in a different way. And I think we've done a bit of work on waste, measuring what we're currently able to divert. And I would love to see under my leadership some growth and development in that area, perhaps bringing us to that next level of saying, okay, let's work towards that net zero or that zero waste mentality. And we've also done some positive strides in our water and our energy utilization. And I would love to start seeing how we can optimize that in better and more tangible ways as well. Currently in the next years, we would love to see some improvements on that. But again, to this date, we've done a significant amount of data collection, and I would love to see us also continue that notion of data collection and getting more robust analytical work behind the data that we've collected to be able to tell that story. As we all know, telling that story is important, and what we want to do is convey that because these are all things that we are proud of, and we would love others to join us and take pride and ownership of these sort of strides operationally that we're doing.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think for us here at Glory Bee, you and I and the rest of the team here in the Hive, really we want to be as sustainable as the bees are, and so we want to, we want to be, zero waste, and we want to make sure that it's all renewable energy, and just be striving to be as sustainable as the bees are as we, handle the honey with care and make sure that it's pure and natural. And so, Grant, this has been great today. Thanks for joining me on Straight from the Hive podcast. And love to have you back sometime, maybe talk about the progress that we're making at Glory Bee and new insights into regenerative agriculture and regenerative beekeeping and what that looks like in the future and how we can be leaders in that here at Glory Bee. So thanks for joining, and till next time from Straight from the Hive, this is Alan Taransky. Thank you.
Thank you.